Buenas Janhafa Day, Manana Sidus to each and every one of you. Many of God's blessings. I'm going to call this public hearing by the Committee on Human Resources, Hagatna Revitalization, Regional Affairs, Public Libraries, Telecommunications, Technology, and Federal and Foreign Affairs. Now called to order. It is 8:33 in the morning. For the record, and in accordance with 5 GCA, Chapter 8, subsections 8107, public hearing notices were sent on Wednesday, September 27th, 2023, adhering to the 5-day notice, and a second public notice on Monday, October 2nd, 2023, 48 hours prior. In addition, this hearing was noticed on the legislature's website, www.guamlegislature.com. I'd like to note for the record to the listening audience, written testimonies may be submitted by emailing Senator Muña Barnes at guamlegislature.org, or you may hand deliver it to our office at Suite 411-134 West Soledad Avenue, Hagatna, Guam, and that's at the Bank of Hawaii building. Ladies and gentlemen, on the agenda this morning, we have the reappointment of Monique R.C. Storie, Dr. Monique Storie, to serve as a member of the Guam Public Library System Board of Directors. The reappointment of Nicole B. Nelson to serve as a member of the Information Technology Representative, Guam Public Library System Board of Directors, and the appointment of Nolan G.T. Flores to serve as a member, the General Public Representative to the Guam Public Library System Board of Directors. Joining me this morning, I'd like to thank my colleague, Senator Taitagui, for joining me. Manana Sizua, Senator. Before we proceed with discussion, I would first like to provide some general rules of conduct for all who are here in attendance. The conduct of this hearing shall be as follows. Those testifying will be recognized in the order of the sign-up sheet, on the sign-in sheet. Written testimony may be read and submitted to the committee. Please provide our legislative staff with your written testimony for photocopying. Persons will be allowed to present oral testimony only once. Lengthy testimony should be summarized to 5 minutes, please. Once you are done, please remain in the room for any questions by my colleagues. Questions and testimonies shall be confined to the substance and the nature of the agenda. Personal inference as to the character and the motive of any senator or any individual testifying is not permitted. Any violations of this general rule of conduct will result in the removal from the hearing room. When you speak, please make sure that the microphone is on and that you speak into the microphone, and then please state your name for the record and where you are from. And in the interest of time, each member will be given 5 minutes. If needed, we can always do a second round of questionings. Those who do not follow these rules of engagements will be removed from this public hearing room. With that being said, because all 3 of the reappointments are for the Guam Public Library System, I'm going to do something a little bit different. Do we have the sign-up sheet? Make it easy. My colleague agrees with me. We're going to go ahead and get all the appointees up here. And please join us on the table. And I understand all 3 of the reappointments are eager and willing to continue to serve, and I want to extend my undankula sitsuas masi, and it's such a humbling pleasure to know that wanting to serve the library and the kids, the children, literally takes to heart about the work that you do for the children. So I want to say thank you in advance. And since we have it based on the public hearing schedule, I'll go ahead and just have all of you 3 do your oral testimony. And then if anyone else comes in to share some oral testimony, I'll go ahead and invite them up. So we'll go ahead and start with you, and then Nicole, and then Nolan. I know you understand, right? We'll give the women a chance. So with that being said, Dr. Storie, you may proceed.
Ph.D, good morning. For the record, my name is Dr. Monique Storie, and I have been a resident of the island of Guam since my birth. And so I have over 25 years of experience working in libraries, both as a librarian as well as my current position, which is Dean of the University Libraries. I have been a patron of the Guam Public Library System since I was able to sign for a library card, I believe in 1976. I have been a lifelong advocate of the library system. And I thank you for the opportunity to continue to serve as a member of the board.
You're very welcome, Doc. And now I'll have Ms. Nicole Nelson. You may proceed.
Thank you. My name's Nicole Berdalio Nelson, and I work at the Office of Technology, and I'm honored to be the info technology rep on the library board. This is my second term, so I'm looking forward to helping out. Thank you.
Thank you. And Nolan?
Ph.D. Guahusi, Nolan, Flores. I prepared testimony. Mine's an appointment, not a reappointment, so let me... Yes, Ph.D. Vice Speaker Muña Barnes, members of the committee, Senator Taidagui and others present. Sijus Masi, Pareng Gogoti, Estina Hininguk Pobleku. I'm grateful to be here again as a nominee for the Guam Public Library System Board of Directors. Having previously served 3 terms on the board from 2019 to 2022 as a student representative, I'm thankful and eager to be nominated to continue my service, this time as a general public representative. Throughout my time with the board, GPLS has undergone significant changes and achieved outstanding progress in making our libraries more accessible, engaging, and serving of the expanding and ever, and ever-evolving needs of our community. From the way our libraries stepped up to provide our people access to critical services during the pandemic, to the most recent launch of the new ebook system and revamped GPLS website, our library staff, director, and board have all been working diligently to elevate GPLS's offerings. Our libraries have also been meaningfully engaged with our island community, as demonstrated by various partnerships and events co-hosted with GDOE, GCC, UOG Press, and the D204 Lions Club, among others. As I transition from a student representative to a general public representative, and given that I'm still a student and still considered youth, my priorities remain the same: advocating for innovative ways to not only bring our youth to the libraries, but to bring our libraries to our youth, meeting them and their needs where they are, as well as finding ways to better connect our libraries to ongoing community work. Recently, my advocacy has included advancing initiatives such as the Bookmobile and the Internet Cafe, both of which are in progress, along with a myriad of other initiatives, including a mini Bookmobile. As GPLS approaches its 75th anniversary of service to our island, and with community efforts underway related to cultural revitalization, language reclamation, technological innovation, and more, there are numerous opportunities on the horizon for GPLS to engage with and support these efforts and to broaden and deepen its distinct place in our community as a premier center of knowledge. Given my time on the board, I would like to share a couple of matters for the legislature's consideration, Madam Vice Speaker. Regarding the youth representative on the board, I would recommend that the legislature consider lengthening the 1-year term currently provided for in GPLS's enabling legislation. While the 1-year term may be helpful for replacing students as they graduate or potentially leave off island or move into a different school, right? The short duration of the term proved challenging to maintaining a full board complement and reaching quorum for our board meetings. During my 3 years as a student representative from August 2019 to August 2022, I went through the confirmation process a total of 3 times, but with gaps in my term throughout due to the nomination and confirmation process that accompanies that, right? To alleviate this challenge, I suggest a longer term of potentially 2 years for the student representatives. Another consideration for the body, Madam Vice Speaker, is relative to a measure that you spearheaded and were instrumental in getting passed, the transfer authorization for the Guam Public Library Resources Fund. To provide an update, GPLS has been working closely with GDOE and is awaiting the transfer of funds, which will go toward purchasing resources that will greatly benefit students and the wider community. Sidusmasi, Madam Vice Speaker, for your efforts in bringing additional funding to GPLS and in supporting the collaborative and interdependent work of our GPLS and GDOE libraries. The legislature's continued inclusion of this provision in future budget bills will be of great assistance to our libraries going forward. Madam Vice Speaker, I'd also like to provide my support, formally state it, for my fellow nominees, Dr. Monique Storie and Mrs. Nicole Nelson. Having served together on the GPLS board for several years already, I have witnessed their commitment to GPLS, and we have developed positive working relationships with one another. I'm grateful for the opportunity we've each been given to continue our service with GPLS and hope for the body's favorable consideration of each of our nominations. Idusmasi.
Buen pubetsu, Mr. Nolan Flores, and my apologies. I was so used to seeing you continuously come in for the appointment that I just said it was a reappointment when I knew it was transitioning from student to and I want to say it is through your dedication, all three of you, and your commitment to the children here on our island and making sure that we make our Guam Public Library a better place for our children to go to, especially with modern technology and what the kids can access to through the tip of their fingers and getting information. Having this library is still really key for a home where children and adults can go to literally get information, to literally work on educational documentation, to just a resource of learning that you guys have to offer. And I want to say also thank you for your updates in what's happening with the library. I know that since you folks have been on board and the executive director, that you have not stopped looking for other alternatives and resources for the library, and then getting the bookmobile up into the community just goes to show that you guys are really, really committed. And with that being said, I want the audience that's listening and those here in the hearing room to know that you, all three of you, have my 100% support. I will ask our committee, our team, to expedite the reports, the committee reports immediately, and see if we can get all of you three on the October agenda. I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize and say good morning to Senator Joanne Brown, who's also joining us, and I'm going to go ahead and yield to my colleagues for any comments or questions, and I'll start with Senator Taitigui. Please proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, and good morning, Vice Speaker. Well, you know, it's important to be here because your commitment to this island deserves respect and deserves our time to thank you so much for stepping up to the plate again and again. Greatly appreciate you all have great skills and can contribute greatly to the library. So I'm going to start with Dr. Storie. Dr. Storie, you're currently at the University of Guam as the library dean there, right? So you're bringing a wealth of information and knowledge and even sharing maybe some stuff at the University of Guam and incorporating it into our public library, which is very instrumental. But what are you doing with the Manumku? I mean, that's one area that's different from the University of Guam in a way. You know, it's not something that you always deal with constantly, but you know, as our population is aging, it's getting to a point where there are going to be more seniors than there are children by the year 2023, 2030. And so how is the library going to adjust to this aging population to assist them at the library? Not everyone is techie, but you know.
Thank you for that question. You're right. A lot of our seniors are not techie, and there are a number of us, I'm starting to get into that age group, that enjoy the analog formats, the printed book, and so forth. And so one of the things that we want to get a sense of is to actually find out from our community what are their preference in terms of formats, and that will help the library to be able to build their collection and build their services. So if there are I know that in the past, the library has had a very robust program in terms of teaching the Manumco how to work with a computer and electronic gadgets. And so if that is still a need and still a desire, then the library can continue on that particular educational purpose. Other ways would be to find out what types of resources they're looking for. It can be something as simple as expanding magazines and journals, or it could be in increasing the number of printed novels or nonfiction works.
Very good. And also maybe incorporate a lot of the seniors, particularly they enjoy donating their time, volunteering.
Yes.
So if there's any opportunity or any kind of program that can do it, I'm sure you're going to get a lot of help, maybe going to different libraries or being part of any kind of outreach program, at the Micronesian Mall, having them there. There's so many Manumco out there who are retired and would love to contribute to the island in this way. So take advantage of that.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
There are across the nation programs where they're intergenerational programs where you would have an elder who serves as a mentor. So if there is a particular skill that they hold, that they can share it through the library, a workshop of some sort.
Okay, great. I look forward to seeing your progress on that.
Okay,
And thank you again so much for serving. I appreciate it. Mr. Flores, I very impressed every time you come in front of me, and the comments that you make are always being prepared, But I'm hoping that with your reappointment, you'll continue to provide the library, the public library, with cultural education because of your background. Not just in Guam, but the Micronesian area, with even Saipan and every come together. So what type of cultural aspect are you trying to integrate into the public library to keep our heritage and our history alive at the library and kind of put it at the forefront? Okay, I'm dictating here, right? Put it at the forefront, no. Ways that we can really keep it alive because, this is all we have. Our heritage, our culture is really all we have. And our language. We lose that, we just become any ordinary person in the world. So how are you going to put that in the forefront?
Yes, Senator Saidagui, for that question. I'm currently a graduate student with the Micronesian Studies program, and even in my undergrad, Chamorro language reclamation has been very much, one of my passions and one of my research interests. I'm currently working also on a grant that it's with the Spencer Foundation. It would work with DOE, with GCC, UOG to improve the pre-K through age 20, right? So the entirety of the K through 12 system, improve Chamorro medium education there. And we have identified in the grant proposal, we're still pending the grant, of course. We've identified GPLS as a partner, right? Whether that's in the archiving work that we might do, right? GPLS maybe serving as one of or the only archive place for whatever resources are gathered from that grant, right? We're working on things like curriculum. I think also just the space of it, right? Bringing different community orgs into the library, different initiatives, right? We've seen work with UOG Press. Recently, a memorial for the late Chris Perez Howard was held at the library, right? And I think that's a really good example of how we just need to bring in all these different programmings to show people, right? They come here for that, but then they see all of these offerings that we have at the libraries that, they might not know of. Even the ebook service, right, that has local books and that might have, cultural resources. So it's not the libraries of the past where it's just, books that may have been maybe very outdated, right? We're constantly updating that catalog. So I think that's how it's done, right? Through bringing all these different, there's a lot of ongoing work in our community. Right. So bringing it into the library.
Excellent, excellent. I really appreciate that, Mr. Flores, and I look forward to the work that you're going to continue to do and make the library a great place. Grant, I know you're probably capable of doing this. I know you are, and I'm hoping that you can look at areas where you can bring funding to the library. A lot of our buildings are falling apart, a lot of them, and we're forgetting that. We're forgetting to set aside funding, for our infrastructure. And then once we do have the funding, we forget to set aside maintenance. So please look into grant funding and even finding another location for a library, So thank you again. So the next one I have in line is, and for the record, I have to divulge this, that Nicole is my daughter. And she's my stepdaughter, and I've known her forever. And I'm so very, very proud of her. That not only that, she can do so many things, especially where she was in the States as an IT, working back there. I was just so proud of her, but she decided to come home and bring her talent to Guam. And I thank her for that, because now I can see her baby, the grand. But, yeah, it would be my first, right? But I'm so very happy that you're at the library, Nicole, because this technology is huge in this line. Not just, for the next generation coming up, sustainability, archiving the books, information, data is so important. And you'll have a lot of work into it, but one of the other things I'm sure you've always heard me tell you or even speak about is cybersecurity. And how can the library system, if it is already hooked up to IT, the Office of Technology, because I know Office of Technology covers a few departments and agencies, right? And explain that. And is the library under Office Technology? Because then it gives me more comfort to know that at least we've got watchdogs. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Guam Public Library is under, what's known as the GGWAN, which is the GovGuam Wide Area Network, which is managed by the Office of Technology. It's actually all the line agencies plus boards and commissions. So we work very, very hard to secure things. We do run into issues such as, funding and resources, but we're doing the best that we can with what we have, and we do take cybersecurity very, very seriously. So the library is well protected.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Very good to know. We just heard about Gita, how they got hacked recently.
Yes.
In fact, I don't even know if it was recent. It might have been a while ago because we're just getting word of it, like some other departments and agencies that were hacked. We don't know about it. The public doesn't know about it until like 3 weeks later or 2 weeks later. So it's a very scary situation. So I'm glad you're on top of it. Definitely you're a great asset to it. Thank you again for coming home and bringing your talents back home to Guam to serve our community. So the way I see this, Madam Chair, is that this is an A-team. This is an A-team for the library, so we are very blessed to have you. I have to leave for another appointment, yes. But again, congratulations, okay? And you definitely, the three of you have my support, okay?
Thank you, Senator Tadegui. And before I ask Senator Brown to say some comments, I just want to acknowledge Senator Roy Kanata, who took the time to come in this morning. Senator Brown, I will recognize you at this time. Please proceed.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. It's always interesting. We come all the way to Hagutnia to see each other. We just live down the street. in Pago Bay, but this is our meeting place. I concur with the sentiments that our chairwoman and Senator Tello have made. It's not every time we come here for confirmation hearings. They're actually pleasant for me. So I'm very pleased. I have a few questions, but I do want to recognize your talents and your capabilities. Mr. Flores, I know we've seen each other from the time we were during the pandemic and having to get on the computer and do your confirmation hearings. I mean, you're an old pro already. I don't know how many times you've come before us in such a short time. But I appreciate your continued interest to want to support your community. I was looking at your resume, and I'm sure it will continue to grow. You're someone I'll keep my eye out for the future because at such a young age, you're very focused on what you're passionate about, and you're reinvesting back in your community. And I think especially for your age group, that we sometimes think is very disconnected from what's going on. It's very good to see that you're stepping forward and being very engaged. I mean, it's almost like you're an old soul already, even though you're still a very young man. And we look forward. I mean, you continue to invest in Guam. I mean, that's why we're here. We love Guam. It's home. But there's so much we can do to contribute it, make it better. So I look forward to your continued success. And certainly, Dr. Storie, your work at the university and then certainly extending to our public library system is appreciated. These are not the glamorous boards, but they're very important. I mean, my son, when he goes to the Agate Library, he's excited. You know, he's still at an age where going to the library and having your library card is a very important thing, and getting the books that they like to read. We kind of forget that. We kind of forget the value of that, because now the plus and minus of technologies, we think everything's at our fingertips. But you know, the enjoyment of sitting down and opening a book and actually touching it and turning the pages, putting it down, and you can come back and start all over again, go back and review. You know, it's old school, but there's just things you can appreciate in that. And I certainly want to see that even though now we can expand with all our modern technology, I think just sometimes going back to the basics of appreciation, enjoyment, the basics of reading and understanding are good things. I did want to ask, and certainly Ms. Nicole Nelson, you know, Senator Tello has such, I appreciate the fact that she can talk as she does, not get emotional, because she has such high regard for you and coming back and doing the work that you're doing. So I'm very pleased, too, that you are contributing your expertise to our public library. And I just wanted to ask, because of course over the years we've seen our public libraries in some cases be closed, or they're only open during certain days of the week that, you know, anyone can participate. And I wanted to get your thoughts on what do you think we could do to expand the use of the public library and get our people in the community engaged. I mean, it was mentioned earlier about our Monunco that we're working into that classification. How can we do that, and how can we get more support and community? I mean, we grew up, Senator Tina and I kind of grew up still at a time when we had community. And a lot of people now are very, you know, they're very isolated in their own little world. We spend a lot of time on our computers, our phones, and yet we have very limited communication with our community. And how do you think we can strengthen that through our public library system and get that sense of the village and that sense of community where it's a gathering place in a very positive way that our community can be engaged with each other? So I each want to ask your thoughts on that, and how can we strengthen the village libraries that we've had, you know, to get more support to have them operating on a more regular basis?
Anyone?
Sure. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Senator Brown, for the question. I think it's a matter, like Dr. Storie said in her testimony, right, of identifying what the need is. We've seen the library kind of shift, even in recent years, right? We've tried to do even late night hours, right? So staying open from that 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. time slot for, let's say, parents who are getting off of work at 5 and would like to bring their kids to the library and go to the library with them, right? Maybe for their own self-enrichment. But we saw that the numbers weren't too great, right? So maybe there isn't necessarily a demand for that, so hence the shift back to the usual 8 to 5. I think another thing, right, is that the ebook offering, that's an example, right, of how we can make this, make the library's needs more adapted to, I'm sorry, the library services more adapted to the public's needs, right? I was really impressed just last night checking the GPLS website. It was revamped. There's even, you know, there's local books by Tomorrow scholars, you know, Tomorrow authors there on the website in ebook form. So if you have the library card, you put in your number and you get access to that, right, without ever having to step into the library physically. Likewise with some of the multimedia options that are available on the library website. I saw that there were videos there, so that's really cool. I think, right, we need to assess the need first, excuse me, and from there, consider whether what we're offering in terms of technology-wise is effective and is, meeting the need that's there.
Yes, I definitely, well, with what Nolan said about how they tried extending hours before, I think maybe part of the problem is that a lot of people didn't realize that these hours were extended, so more community outreach, notification to everybody that we do have, I think we should try it again, basically, is what I'm thinking. Yeah.
So the library has stepped up its social media presence, and that has been useful in bringing more awareness of what kinds of services are offered, ways to access the library without actually entering into the library. I think one of the things that we can encourage is a rethinking of how do we count when people come in, and so the traditional thought is if they walk through the door that's a count, but with the instances of e-library or e-books checkouts, it's even if they don't walk through the doors, if they are accessing this material, then we should see that as being a useful engagement with the library. Other options that we may explore would be that idea that Nolan had talked about, is meeting the people where they're at. So across the nation, there are other programs where the library has the ability to go not only out into the public through like the bookmobile system, but they also do partnerships with school libraries or malls, venues where the people are at, and they just have like a pop-up kind of event. So there are different options based on what we learn from what our community wants and needs.
Well, I very much appreciate the answer, and I didn't realize, so we could get on the library website and explore what is there in the catalog and inventory, and I do have a library card, believe it or not, in my wallet. I had to take it out and put it up, it has my name on it. So I appreciate that. That's good to know that we can also do that. But again, I'm very pleased. I don't always have enjoyable confirmation hearings, but in this particular case, all three of you, you certainly made our morning, and I appreciate your public service. I don't think a lot of people realize the value of public service, and you literally, I mean, you're more so the public servants than we are because we actually get paid for this job, but to contribute and contribute to your community to make it better is really admirable. I wish we had more people that would step up to the plate to do what you're doing. So you certainly, no doubt, have our vote, and we look forward to your continued work. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Situs Masi, Senator Brown. Senator Roy Kanata, you may proceed.
Situs Masi, Madam Chair and colleagues. Good morning to those attending live. Hafdades and saludos to the panel and to those who are taking up this public service, right? It's very refreshing to see a younger face, and it's very rare you see young people stepping up to do public service. So I admire your passion. I know you're a very instrumental individual regarding the independence movement, and I know you continue to be very involved in many and numerous civic engagements, including the University of Guam, and I commend you for your passion and, again, engagement in all those capacities. Dr. Storie and Mrs. Nelson, thank you for stepping up as well to serve in the public capacity. I understand you both have education from off island, and I really thank you guys for coming back and being of service to the island that you came from, right? So you guys have no questions for me. I wish you all the best. My office stands ready to support in whatever capacity. Let's keep this committee report short so you guys can get on to the confirmation on the session floor.
You're very welcome, Senator Kanata. And as I close on this public hearing, I just want to say it literally is refreshing and share the same sentiments as Senator Brown and Senator Kanata and Senator Taitigui. Not very easy, right, when you have to volunteer your time and your efforts to help the community, and you guys continue to do so through your discipline, through your experience, through your work. And you guys have literally brought the synergy back to the library. I know that the executive director has been working really hard to try and get resources back from any which way he can, right? Back in with DC and Uncle Sam, and just looking for more opportunities. You guys have been able to literally work in that journey, and I'm so appreciative that I don't have to hear any kind of rhetoric of not being able to do some. And even with the resources being tight, you guys have been able to at least give it from your heart and volunteer from your heart. And I know we don't pay you guys, but you know, in the efforts of giving back to the community, you folks, the three of you have really taken that time to step up. So undankul and asitsuas masi. I will note for the record that Nolan does have a fan club. I did get testimony from three different testimonies from a Keisha Borja Kichachu, a Robert Barcinas, and I hope I don't slaughter this last name, a Joseph Madlangbayan, who said they support the efforts of what you're doing, Mr. Flores, and wanted to present written testimony. I will keep the record open, and then I'll do my closing remarks right now. So, si Zeus Maasi Todos Hamzu, if there's no one left here to testify, the public hearing on the reappointment of Monique R.C. Storie, Dr. Monique R.C. Storie, to serve as a member of the Guam Public Library System Board of Directors, the reappointment of Nicole B. Nelson to serve as a member Information Technology Representative for the Guam Public Library System Board of Directors, and the appointment of Nolan G.T. Flores to serve as a member General Public Representative, Guam Public Library System Board of Directors have been duly heard, and the time is now 9:09 a.m., but if anyone else on the listening audience wants to present written testimony, they can do so by emailing it to Senator Muña Barnes at guamlegislature.org, or they may send or hand deliver it to 163 Chalan Santo Papa, Hagåtña, Guam, 96910, or to my office at 134 West Soledad Avenue, Suite 411, Hagåtña, Guam, 96910. That's at the Bank of Hawaii building. So again, it is 9:09 a.m. This public hearing has been duly heard. We are now in adjournment. Si Zeus Masi and si Zeus Unbini DC Hamzu Todos Sinamasi. Thank you.